Oh, hello, folks. Welcome back again to Dr. Gilead Show today um, on WBGR Radio and Facebook Live. I'm your host, Dr. Theo Oswala. We are back on Dr. Gilead Show, and today is November 3rd, 2016. I want to welcome each and every one of you to the show. Today we have a special guest in our midst, and he is a huge expert on the topic we're going to talk about. Today we're going to talk about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADD or ADHD, attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's what we're going to talk about today. Our guest today is Darrell Coleman. Darrell, could you introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners?
Yes. My name's Darrell Coleman, and I'm a psychotherapist, and my official title is a licensed clinical social worker. What I do, I guess I've been in private practice for 5 years. I've practiced for 5 years, and I've had my own private practice for 2 years. And for the first 3 years of my career, I worked under numerous clinicians, psychologists. I worked for different agencies and different state agencies. And so I just hit my 5-year mark in August. And I would say I've seen a lot, and through all my experiences, have learned a lot. And I originally hailed from North Carolina and moved to the D.C. area 3 years ago. So yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I work a lot with African American males. I would say my specialty and my passion is working with a lot of African American males from the age of 6 all the way to, I have clients 65. The oldest client I have is 65, but my sweet spot, the group that I really work a lot with are African American males 6 to 25. I do a lot of work with young African American men. So that's pretty much me.
Right. So and I have worked with a lot of patients with him.
That's so true.
Young black boys, and they've done so well with Mr. Coleman. Thank you very much for coming.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
He does a great job.
Yeah, thank you. So today we're talking about ADHD, but I want us to know, as usual, I like to say that please do not use what you hear on this platform to make a diagnosis of yourself or of someone else. Please do not diagnose someone else based on what you hear on this platform, and do not treat yourself based on what you hear. It's always good to consult a clinician to get the right diagnosis and treatment. And I also like to say that Dr. Gilead Show and its producers are not responsible for whatever anyone does based on what they hear on this platform or from this show. It is always good to get an opinion from your clinician so that you get the right treatment and get well instead of making mistakes. Thank you very much. I see, Ms. Trotman, thank you for joining. Ms. Smith, thank you. Thank you for all those who have joined. If you have a question, please feel free to call on 301-429-9247, 301-429-9247. That is WBGR Radio. Today on Dr. Gilead Show, we're talking about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And our guest today is Darrell Coleman, who is a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, yes. And he's done a great job with me, with my patients that I sent to him, and the ones he sent to me. So we've been working together for a few years now. So, what is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? This is defined as a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactivity. Consistent inattention or hyperactivity. Sometimes impulsivity that interferes with the functioning or development of an individual. So the inattention, the hyperactivity, or the impulsivity has to interfere with the functioning. It doesn't matter what the person does, the functioning and the development of the individual. But today we're focusing our attention on ADD, ADHD in children. not in adults. We all know that it exists in adults as well. In one of our later shows, we're going to be talking about ADHD in adults. So the symptoms of ADD or ADHD, I'm going to differentiate that, is that it has to be more frequent and severe than a typical that is typical of a child at a similar level of development. That means a child who is, say, a 10-year-old, we all are young, we all get a little hyperactive, little difficulty with focusing, but someone, for you to make a diagnosis, to say someone has a diagnosis of ADHD, that person has to be a little more inattentive, a little more hyperactive than the average person at his level of his or her level of development. Now, to make that diagnosis, it has to be present in different settings, at least minimum of 2 settings. It could be in school, it could be at home, or wherever they find themselves, whether in stores or in churches or wherever they are. And and the interference could be social, academic, or in work settings. So there are 3 major presentations: the inattentive type, the one that has hyperactive or impulsive type, and the one that has a combination of the inattentive type and the hyperactive impulsive type. So we have the inattentive type, the hyperactive impulsive type, and the combined presentation, 3 types that occur in different people. Now, it's known that ADHD occurs in most cultures, everywhere. It's common. It occurs in most cultures, about 5% in children and in 2.5% in adults. It's also known to be more frequent in males than in females. The prevalence is about 2 in male, 2 to 1 male to female ratio in children. But you said that females are more likely to present with symptoms more than males. Daryl, in your practice, we've seen our prevalence or the rates say that there's more in men or in boys than in girls.
Yep.
Well, what do you see?
So, I mean, your statement is right on with the number of clients I see when you look at the demographics of my clients. So I don't have any female clients with ADHD. That doesn't mean that they don't exist and are out there, but almost about 60% of my clients, the male clients that I work with, have ADHD, have been diagnosed with ADHD before they seen me, or I personally had to diagnose them with that diagnosis. And so it's right on with the statistics. It's very rare in my experience that I've come across females right. Young ladies who have ADHD. A lot,
yeah. In my practice, I have a few females, but the ratio that I just gave is classical. Is you see a lot of young boys who have ADHD compared to females. Now, it has no cultural difference. The same thing in Caucasians, African Americans, Hispanics. It is, if you check the statistics, 5% in male. So it cuts across cultures, it cuts across races. Now, do we know what causes attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? The answer is a lot of the times unknown.
Exactly.
A lot of the times we don't know why these things happen, but there are postulations, there are talks about what could be, what could have caused it, how what may have happened. And I was checking out some statistics. Some of the things they talked about is that there are some factors like prenatal toxic exposure. So that is when the child is in the uterus, when the child is still unborn, toxins that they are exposed to is also being shown that premature kids have higher chances of having ADHD, and is also during childbirth, some mechanical insult, for example. You know how when a child is being born, the process of birthing, the baby passes through the the pelvic bone as it's coming out. There's molding of the head. That is traumatic sometimes to the brain of the child, and this could present with attention deficit disorder, or attention disorder inattentive type. The one of the mind-blowing ones is that I saw this where it talked about food additives.
Wow.
Yeah, and coloring preservatives we have in food, or even sugar.
Man, wow.
Now the thing is, nobody is sure. These are just suggestions, but there are no specific evidence that sugar or additives could cause it. But my experience is sometimes when I see kids, I say, "Oh, he's been eating a lot of candy."
Yep.
Or he just drank a soda. Soda, I know because of the caffeine.
Yeah, he's gonna be hyperactive.
Yes. So caffeine pushes everybody.
Exactly. Me and you anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You drink caffeine, you're up, you're high.
Yep.
So for a child who is already hyperactive, he drinks soda, the caffeine will make that child more hyperactive.
Right.
So these are some of the things, but also there was some research that, proving genetic component of it. So I don't know, you see families, have you seen like kids of the same parents? What is your...
So I have a number of families, and I'll say in mind right now, I know of 2 families that have more, like they have either 2 kids or more. I have one that has they have 3 kids, and all 3 boys are diagnosed with ADHD. And I try, in my practice, I try my best to rule out ADHD because, and maybe we'll talk about this later, but African American boys sometimes can be overdiagnosed with that diagnosis.
Exactly.
But I definitely have families where you have multiple diagnoses of ADHD.
ADHD. Yeah. So that puts less credence to the genetic component. There was some research done. It was shown that monozygotic twins, that is, twins that have or that were born with the same placenta. So they're hooked together, the same placenta, they look alike. It may be hard to differentiate both of them. So these are monozygotic twins. They were formed from one egg that split. It's shown that the other twin, very high chances of having ADHD compared to dizygotic, that is twins that have a different amniotic sac or different placenta. And so these monozygotic twins, in the study, it shows that most of them together, they have ADHD. And that goes to the genetic component. But also, it could also go to the fact that they were both exposed to something.
The same
At
type
the same
of
time.
toxins.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the same time. So, but also, it's also been shown that siblings of kids that have ADHD are twice more likely to have ADHD than the general population. So that shows that somehow there is some genetic component. And even I've seen a family where the children have ADHD, the mother has ADHD.
Same here.
So is even some father told me, I used to be like that when I was a kid, but I'm able to manage it now.
Regulate it.
Yeah. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I still make some mistakes here and there. So it's obvious that somehow attention deficit disorder can be genetically inherited. Some other mind-blowing thing, Daryl, is that children, the higher percentage of children with ADHD were born in September.
Now I never knew that. I'll tell everyone out there, I didn't know this.
Yes,
Wow.
were born in September. So the postulation is now most of them must have been conceived at the peak of winter, December, January.
Wow.
So is it possible that they had some winter infection? So mother may have had
a cold,
yes,
the
a
flu.
cold flu. That is one thing, that because of that singular finding, that a greater percentage of the people who have ADHD were born in September. And now, don't get this wrong, it does not mean that all of them must be born in September or October. No, but the research showed that a lot of them were born in September compared to the general population. It shows that in the first trimester, during the time of conception or early in utero, they might have been exposed to something. So, and possibly the viral infection may have caused some brain damage. Some other things that people have talked about is, kids fall a lot. They're laying on the bed, they crawl around, they hit their head, and nothing happens. They cry a little bit, we soothe them, give them something to drink, and they're good. As they grow older, we begin to find out that their behavior is a little erratic, they're a little difficult to control compared to their siblings. So that is one other area that we're looking at, childhood head traumas. Could it be that also when these kids had a head injury, little fall, that because the skull is still very malleable, yes, so it's still soft, the bones are not fused yet, so nothing happens. And then as they grow older, we begin to see the effect of that fall. But no one can really think back to put it together that it might have been because they hit their head when they were children. So there are a lot of things here that can tell us, say, okay, well, this child may have had an injury, infection, or any of those as a child. No one really knows. So but it all put together, something has happened to that brain as a child, yeah. Now, there is a particular part of the brain, the frontal lobe, and that is the part of the brain right in front here that helps us maintain our calmness. Some research with SCAN has shown that the frontal lobe in people with ADHD is kind of not functioning very well. So the frontal lobe, as we know, is the part of the brain that helps you control your activities. You see something that distracts you, but your frontal lobe says, hey, calm down, don't even touch it, don't worry about it. When you finish your schoolwork, you can go do it. But once the frontal lobe is not functioning well, they lose control. They just they get distracted, they jump here and there, they're looking, they're touching.
Impulsive.
Very impulsive because the frontal lobe is not helping make them stay calm. So these are all things that could make someone become hyperactive. There are also psychological factors, and the kids you see, there are some have been in group homes, taken from their parents and put in group homes, assisted living
facilities.
State facilities, yes. So there was this research that showed that the institutionalized kids are more likely to show hyperactivity. So the question is it because of familial deprivation? That is, they're deprived of some maternal love, some relationship with their biological families? Is it because they are exposed to places where there is so much activity going on, some disruption in family equilibrium, and some of that? Because in these institutions, it's a lot of anxiety-provoking issues. They see people beating up every day, they see others abused, so they are hyperactive, they can't focus, they have to be alert. So all these things present with symptoms later in life. In your practice, the kids, the young people you see, how many of them may have been in institutions as children?
So as it stands right now, I know I can. I try to remember like numbers and remember all of my clients, and I can say that I've had about 5 clients throughout my experience, at least in Maryland, that have been institutionalized, and the greater majority of my other clients are not. They're having issues at home and at school, but the ones that have been institutionalized, oftentimes, and this isn't true, this could be anecdotal, it's just based off my experience, they go to these facilities, they go to these institutions, and it exacerbates or it worsens their behavior, it worsens their conditions, and hearing what you're saying almost makes me think about kind of what is causing that. I don't know, based on kind of talking with my clients sometimes, it seems as if there's not enough attention paid to them while they're at these facilities. And sometimes these behaviors are acting out to pretty much deal with frustration they might have with some of the structure that might be in place that isn't really compatible to them. So what I'll say is, to kind of make that clearer, a lot of these facilities have a very uniform, central type of program for how to deal with all kids. And what happens is you have kids who don't have a program that's customized to them. So my clients are in situations where it's like I don't want to do this the way that you want me to do it because this is your program. I want to walk out. I want to get out of my seat. I want to walk around the facility. I want to do what I want to do. So I don't know if it's, like what you're just saying, and also just them acting out, them pretty much trying to express in a subconscious way through their behavior that I don't like this system, this structure that you're trying to impose or force on me. So it could be a number of different things, and I haven't been able to put my finger on the institutional piece that you're speaking to here.
Right. So it's a combination of factors, and the most important thing is why we're doing this program is for people to learn, and providers in these institutions can really take some special care about children that are a little hyperactive, know that, hey, we can have a better way of managing them and taking care of them. But something here which I want to point out is socio-economic status does not seem to be a predisposing factor. So whether you're rich or you're poor, it doesn't matter. We have attention deficit disorder among the very rich, and attention deficit disorder among the very poor. So socio-economic status of a family does not affect whether the child is going to have ADHD or not. So it cuts across the rich, the poor. We are all part of this. We live in the same world. We are exposed to the same toxins, whether what we eat or what we drink is the same thing. So it's good to know that is not a sickness for the poor. It's not a sickness for the African Americans or the Caucasians or the Hispanics. Nope, it cuts across all cultures, all races, all socioeconomic class. And that is well proven and is well known. All right, so let's take a look at how attention deficit disorder presents. We talked about the inattentive type and also the hyperactive or the hyperactive impulsive type, and sometimes a combination of both. So I don't know, Darren, the inattentive types, what are the patients you see? What are the symptoms they present with regards to inattention?
So what's most prevalent in my clients with ADHD or with inattentive type?
Yes.
They're disorganized. They have an inability to really organize their task at school. If it's homework, if it's bringing homework to school and making sure that it's in a certain folder, they're really disorganized. Another issue is following instructions. They have a really difficult time in receiving instructions and then remembering them. So memory is a big issue also. Being able, someone can tell you to do something, how to do it, and then 30 seconds later you forget. A lot of my clients have issues with following instructions. I guess also issues with sustained focus. So if they're in a classroom and they're listening to a teacher, they're having a lot of difficulty in being able to focus in on the teacher, hear what they have to say, and remember that. So oftentimes they're kind of daydreaming, they're kind of dazing off. That's one of the bigger issues, not being able to kind of focus in. If they're at church, being able to kind of sit in front of a sermon or a lecture, any type of activity that calls for focused attention for a sustained period of time, they just can't do it. They often need stimulus. And this piece, the stimulus piece, goes in with the hyperactivity and inattentive type, but a lot of my clients, they need constant stimulus that they're interested in. So what you'll find is my kids, they can't sit and listen to their teacher for 30 minutes, but they can sit and play video games for hours and hours and hours, and there's no problem. The reason they can do that is because it's a stimulus that they desire. It's a stimulus they're interested in. So that game, it's always calling for them to perform some type of action, push some kind of button, answer to some kind of challenge within the game. So there you can see the dichotomy. You can see kind of this difference in this kid has ADHD, but why can he focus his attention in on this activity for hours, but not here?
Wow. Yep, that is it. So these kids cannot give close attention to details at all. They make mistakes because they just can't focus on anything. And like Mr. Coleman said, in class you need to sit down. You need to focus on the teacher. You need to listen to what the teacher is saying. They have a hard time maintaining attention. and when the teacher gives instruction, they don't follow through.
Not at all.
They do halfway, they get distracted, or some. I don't know how many people have been to our classrooms in schools here, in public schools, even in private schools. The noise, the movement, they're always moving. So a kid with inattention, with difficulty with attention, can't do a whole lot. He's moving, little noise, he looks up, he can't.
Distracted.
Yeah. And what happens? They can't finish their schoolwork
Exactly.
or their chores in school. And like Dora said, they can't organize. And what do? They avoid those things that
Exactly.
they need to do. Those things that they need to focus on and finish, they avoid it. And one other thing, they lose stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
All the time.
I have a patient who he's gotten like 3 phones, cell phones.
Wow.
He goes, the next thing, he loses the phone, and he loses the phone, and the next thing, they buy another phone. Within a few days, he loses it, and mom says, "No, okay, you're not getting no more phones." That is very, very common.
Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have clients that their issue is, so bad to where they'll do homework. So I have clients, they'll do their homework, and then they'll get to school the next day, and they just don't turn it in. They forget to turn it in.
It's in their bag.
And it's in their bag. I left it at home, or I just forgot to turn it in. It could be in the folder right in front of them, and they forgot to turn it in. So
Yeah.
it's that, that intense. That to where they'll waste work that they've done already. They'll waste their labor. They'll waste their effort because they just don't remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and they don't remember because the mind is going
Exactly.
that way. So what does not make an imprint does not register. So they don't remember.
So true.
So their thoughts are going back and forth, back and forth. And even when they come into my office, I'm talking to them. I say, "Man, look, I'm talking to you. I'm talking. Oh yeah, okay."
Same here.
They're just back and forth. So you have to really get their attention. So they're very inattentive. Now, the other part of it is hyperactivity or impulsivity. And I see some of they come to me, they're so fidgety.
Yep.
They tap it, they touch it, they do it. I had a boy, he's looking at, because in my office there are these books. And he goes straight to the big red book, and he pulls it out all the time, and he's turning it. I say, "Okay, man, look, put the book back." He puts it. The next minute, he gets up to that same book. And they get so distracted, so impulsive, they can't hold themselves back.
Not at all.
So they fidget, they tap their feet, they tap their legs, and on their seat, they're moving. And one told me, he said, "Look, I can't stop." I said, "Okay, take a deep breath." And he takes a deep breath. It's like 3 seconds, he's moving again.
Yep.
So it's a struggle for them. They fidget, they scream on the seat. And in school, they can't sit for 5 minutes. They leave their seat when sitting is required. So they back and forth all the time. And I have this kid, he comes, he's just running through my office. Mom is chasing him about.
Wow.
So they run, they climb, they jump all over the place. Sometimes they come, they sit on the floor. And these are things that happen initially, the first time I'm seeing them. Then subsequently, when they get treatment from me and they go to a therapist, they begin to organize themselves. It's amazing. It's like night and day. They begin to do well. So, and sometimes they begin to, they have difficulty playing or engaging in activities quietly. They got to be rough, they have to talk loud, and they just on the go all the time. Like they're driven by a motor, they're on the move.
Yes.
They're on the move. And with hyperactivity, what experiences do you have with these children?
So, pretty much you outlined a lot of the behaviors. So, oftentimes you have parents complaining that they're getting reports from school that the child is getting out of their seat without permission. The child has to even damage a property, like damaging property. You'll see where clients will go in, even in my office. They'll come into the office, and if they're sitting in a seat and there's a string, or if there's something they can rip at, they'll just rip. So they'll try. They can, at least in my office, sometimes they'll try. For the most part, they'll try to at least sit in the seat, But in that, and sitting in that seat and not moving, they have to find something to be engaged in, something to do while they're sitting in the seat. So the way they cope with not being able to move out of the seat is they'll find something to rip at. They'll tear pages out of a book, anything around them. They'll scratch a surface, and that's a lot of what I see. I get a lot of complaints from the parents of reports and complaints from the school. So everyone in their life, all the adults in their life, are pretty much complaining that this child can't sit still. This child has to fidget. This child has to move at all times, and it goes right in line with what you were saying.
Right. And one other thing, teachers, when the teachers fill out the form for me, they say he blots out answers.
Oh yes.
He can't even wait before I finish asking the question. She's blotting out the answer.
Yep.
The answer may not be right.
Exactly. They're just
So
blurting it out.
Yep, they're just blotting it out, and they have difficulty waiting their turn in line in the cafeteria. They can't stand in line. Sometimes they tell me, I'm so bored. I say, okay, give me a minute. We'll be done in a minute. They want to just keep going. So they're so hyperactive, they can't wait their turn. They are on the move all the time. This is all part of the hyperactivity. Now, other things they do, they interrupt. They interrupt the class.
Yes.
They stop a lot of people in class. They intrude into other people's activities.
Disruptive.
Yeah, very, very disruptive. And how often do they get into fights?
So a lot of my clients, when they first see me, they're getting in fights. They've been suspended from school, and so
suspension is big.
It's a big piece of what my clients experience in their daily lives in school, and it's because oftentimes I think the fighting comes from them not being able to regulate their behavior, or them being more likely to engage in activities that will cause another kid. They're very active, and so when you're very active, you're increasing the odds that you're going to bump into someone's seat. The little petty things that my clients will say, "Oh, this is what started it." I was talking to this other kid while I was supposed to be paying attention, and we end up talking about each other, or I threw a pencil at him, and then we end up getting in a fight. And so what you find is their symptoms almost open them up. It increases the likelihood that they're going to get into some type of trouble with another student or a teacher.
Yes. So and that is huge. And sometimes I wonder how the teachers do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a huge struggle. But anyway, we're going to take a break. I see. Oh, Dr. Isoga from Florida. Thank you for tuning in. Mr. Jai. Catchy from Canada. Well, thank you all for tuning in. And if you have any questions, please call 301-429-9247 WBGR Radio, and we can answer the questions. Mr. Way, thank you for joining. This is Dr. Gilead Show. We're talking about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. You can call 301-429-9247, and we'll take your questions. We're going to take a little break. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Thank you. Yeah, we stay on though.
Yes, I think, okay.
Dress, a new suit.
So I just would you just play music or something together?
I've got just the solution to get you everything you want and everything you need in one spot. The mall. And go to your computer. Log on to
So far as everything
www.skylineclothing.net. And
I know, yeah, I guess when I start to move, just trying to you're right.
Yeah, we all have some ADHD.
Yeah, I told you, we all do. Because I know I move a lot, and it's like I don't want to hit you. It's just like I get space, so I'm like I don't have to hit you. Yeah.
Hi.
But this thing like Lita, I don't know why. Maybe it's staying right there. I guess it's definitely me.
Time for the holidays. You can order Skin So Soft, all of your makeup products, toys, clothing, and so much more. But guess what? You do need a representative in order to order Avon. So you can order online and have it shipped directly to you.
We'll have some.
All you have to do is log on to
So I guess after this, we're going back to your office.
www.youravon.com
I'm seeing clients. Because also, like I told you, I have a contract, so I see clients in the community. And so I have some clients right around the corner, so I'm going to go see them.
Bless.
Yeah, what we're talking about the principal of the school that was supposed to join us. He has a suspension meeting. A kid has been having a suspension meeting today, so that completely disrupted his.
I get it. When duty calls.
Yeah.
Tired of looking at the
Then we're gonna have ADHD in adults. I think in 2 weeks, December something. So we may have him coming.
Natural hair, lock maintenance, braids, and weaves.
That's good. That's good. This is a positive thing that you have going here. It's really positive.
Call Lucretia
And,
at
a lot of people benefit from it. People look at it and they
Call now. No,
it's
now.
more
Before
educational,
you
so
forget.
people will,
And again,
Know how
the
to
number
make
is
certain decisions to get them more information.
down there, we're gonna, tell them more on how to
heard about it on
get help.
So the people from on Facebook, do you know these people? Or?
Some I know, yeah.
Oh, please don't tell me. I have so much to do around this house, I don't know where to start. There's no way I'll be able to go with you.
What?
I know, right? Girl, my house is so dirty sometimes. I hate to even come home from work and see it. With everything that you got going on, I don't know how you do it.
Girl, I don't. Crystal Mays takes care of all of that for me. This is a gift to myself. They're always on time and they do an amazing job. When I come home, it's like a breath of fresh air. I feel like a pampered
See,
queen.
wow, you hit all the points there.
Trained teams and uniforms and art
Big
vehicles to
factors.
give your home a
And
professional
even at
clean
home when it
on a
comes to
schedule that works for you.
from the
We
speech,
shine
just
your
kind of the
bathrooms,
structure of the home and what happens
windows,
when
and
it
do
comes to
high-end
chores.
dusting
Yeah.
throughout
Very,
your home. We even offer
makes things
closet and
difficult at
garage
home
organization.
because they're
We
not
provide
really
all equipment and use
being,
green certified products.
major contributors to the
Locally owned and
household in
operated
regards
for
to
over
helping
25
complete
years,
tasks.
bonded and insured.
If it's
Call us
cooking,
today
if it's
for
doing
a free
chores, it makes it hard. I don't know what chore. I can't remember what chore I need to complete.
That's 301
Or even just say, "Go do it." They forget halfway.
Or visit us at crystalmaids.com. The right people, the right solution.
I'm gonna call them right now.
Oh, they are the best.
So who are those tickets for?
It's the new, all-natural, family-friendly pharmacy, Family Choice Pharmacy, located at 8313 Annapolis Road, New Carrollton, Maryland. If you're looking to join the family today, you can reach us at 301-577-1212.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Welcome back to Dr. Gilead Show. We're talking about attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder on WBGR and on Facebook Live. Our special guest today is Darrell Coleman, a licensed social worker who is a therapist in the area. He's had a lot of experience with children that have ADHD. Today we're talking about ADHD in children, not in adults, but in children. And we've talked about the causes, the presentation, the symptoms. We talked about the inattentive type, the hyperactivity, and some will have a combined type where they are inattentive as well as hyperactive. Right, so welcome back. If you have any questions, please feel free. You can call in on the show, 301-429-9247, 301-429-9247. Okay, so when people have these symptoms, what are really the effects on the individual, on the family, in our society? When a child has ADHD, it has a huge effect on that child. So we're going to look at the effect on the individual that has ADHD. And here we're talking about the children. And Mr. Coleman, the children that you see, or from your interaction with the patients and, of course, their family members, what is the effect of these symptoms on the patient, on the child?
So there are a number of effects. The first big effect is academically. What happens is it affects their performance at school. Typically, kids diagnosed with ADHD, their grades are poor. They deal with more negative reports from school. They're set aside in class, and then it starts to have a social. That right there starts to have a social impact on the child because the child starts to seem and look like to other students as a problem child or as a child that has an issue. The teacher doesn't like you. The teacher's always on you. And so then the child starts to deal with some identity issues. They start to feel that they're, less than. So ADHD can cause just a kind of snow piling up of issues, and residually it just kind of goes from the school to home to school to the community. So it has, from an individual standpoint, that's how, that's typically the issues I have to deal with a lot of my clients. It's academic, it's social, and it's personal. And then when it comes to the family, oftentimes it's the level of stress that parents have to deal with and managing these behaviors at home. So what happens is at home, typically in most American homes, and I think around the world, if you have children, they have responsibilities at the house. If it's chores, if it's to do their homework, there are a number of things that they have to do at home. And what happens is this diagnosis gets in the way of that. They have problems remembering what their chores are. They have problems remembering how to do their chores. They have issues remembering where things are to do chores, to do their homework. And this becomes a bigger problem for the parents at home because now they have to manage this behavior. They have to come home from work and now kind of take on the second job of not only being a parent, but being a parent of a child with ADHD. And it adds a lot of stress on a lot of the parents I work with. And, you find some parents wanting to give up. You find some parents dealing with it in a negative way, becoming frustrated, angry, and then making the situation worse by treating their kid miserably or treating them horribly. Saying, look, man, why can't you pay attention? Why can't why are you always getting in trouble? And it can become a really big problem throughout just the family, community, and at school for the child.
Right. And one other thing is, like you said, this child among his friends or classmates, they feel that, whoa, this is a bad girl, a bad child, a bad boy, a bad girl. Everyone stays away from him. No one wants to associate with him. He feels lonely. He feels isolated. What happens? He gets angry.
Yep.
He begins to fight. He gets in trouble. And as he grows older, he harbors a lot of anger towards the people, towards anybody.
Yes.
Just because of the way people have related to him in school. He gets home. He's
irritated.
Yes, he's angry, irritated, but also he's taken as the bad child of the family. Then he feels that, look, okay, they take care of the other kids more than me.
Exactly.
And then, of course, sometimes in treatment, we make sure that if you're bad, you're going to lose your phone. If you're bad, you're going to lose this. Then they build up more anger. Then they feel like the other family members, the other children, siblings are better taken care of or maybe loved more than them. And this gradually over time they develop things like conduct disorder because of their anger, because of their unhappiness, resentment, yes, or antisocial personality disorders. They do things. What happens? It piles up. They begin to get into drugs, then they end up getting incarcerated, and all kinds of things. It just destroys their life. But if they get the right treatment, things are much better. So these are some of the things, the effect on the individual, but also in class. I talk to teachers, and I wish Mr. Anderson, the principal, was here today. I wanted him to talk more about the effect of this in classrooms. Sometimes the classrooms are so chaotic. They are chaotic, and people want to. The students that really want to work are so distracted. The teachers are yelling, "Sit down! Don't go out." Okay, they put them on timeout. They take them to the principal's office or in-school suspension.
Yes.
And all it disrupts the whole class. But what also bothers me that I think about is sometimes teachers are graded on the students' performance.
Yes.
So how does this affect the teacher's performance, especially when the child has hyperactivity, inattention? It makes it difficult for you to really grade that teacher.
It does.
Yeah. So among the family members, you have. I saw a family. The father doesn't think the child has a problem because he says he was like that when he was a kid.
Wow.
The mother says this child is uncontrollable. So, and unfortunately, the parents are separated. The child lives with the mother and goes over to the father on weekends or some school days. So he goes to the father doesn't give the medication. While with the mother gives the medication. So it brings a lot of conflict. Family dynamics are broken down. It causes so much problem in the family that is so difficult to deal with. And of course with this, once the family dynamic is broken down, it affects the whole society. It affects the mother at the place of work. It affects the father at the place of work. Sometimes the child is so uncontrollable that even the siblings can't do their work because they are fighting, the child is fighting them. So it makes it more difficult to deal with the child. This is a big problem when it comes to family dynamics. And
Definitely.
I think they need to be adequately treated. They need to be adequately taken care of. And you know, the good thing is, once the child gets the help that he needs,
Things get better.
things get better. So that's why we need to have these children treated. So going to the treatment of ADD, ADHD, on my part as a physician, I use medications. And I also, of course, talk to the kids. The medications we use mostly are stimulants.
Stimulants, yeah.
So the stimulants, they help calm the child down. They help the child stay focused. They help the child pay more attention. And as the child pays more attention, their school performance gets better. The relationship with peers and family also get better. I know that for you as a therapist, I give them medication and I say, hey,
sends them my way.
go to Mr. Coleman. He will fix you. He will help with the other parts. What exactly do you do?
Okay, so first I want to give a disclaimer. So therapy is not foolproof. It's not, it's not 100%. So, you know, I definitely pride myself in saying that I get good results, positive results.
I see that when they come back to me.
I'm glad to hear that. Out of the majority of my clients, you know, typically I get good responses, you know, good feedback from, you know, their behavior from their schools and things like that. So it's not always a beautiful story. But when it comes to how I work with my clients, I do a lot of behavior therapy. Like when it comes to my clients that have ADHD, we call it behavioral therapy. And what I do
Is that the so-called behavioral modification?
Yeah, so that's a part of it. Behavioral modification is part of behavioral therapy.
Okay.
Behavior therapy. And so what we do with behavior modification is we help set up structures that are going to incentivize or motivate the child to remember things, to organize themselves. So a lot of it is about building structure. So what we do is we go in with the child and we help create situations where they start to make their behaviors habitual. Make it to where it's almost a part of who they are. It's instinctual. It's just it's almost a response of just living. So when you put in systems that every day they come from school and hey, you're gonna do your homework when you get a snack, you do your homework, you finish it, and then after that you get to watch TV or you get to play 1 hour video game. So with behavior modification, what we're doing is we're trying to modify behaviors based on putting systems in place of reward and punishment. Oftentimes that's typically what takes place with that, but a bigger piece of what I do outside of behavior modification is mindfulness, what we call mindfulness. And in therapy, when we say mindfulness, it's pretty much helping people understand, like, be aware of their behaviors, be aware of their thoughts. So a lot of these children, they suffer from being impulsive and being hyperactive. They do things and not know it. So what we do in therapy is help them understand, like, you need to be aware. Before you do these things, what are you thinking? How are you feeling before you get out of your seat? What is it to feel like you're bored? When you tell me that you're bored, what comes before that? What does that feel like? And when you start to feel those feelings, here's what I want you to do. And so we do activities that help them learn to cope with being bored, cope with listening to something that they're not interested in. So we do a lot of that, mindfulness, behavior modification, and really providing structure, helping them be able to deal with structure. Because a lot of my families, when they come to me, you realize that the parents don't have a lot of structure in the household. It's pretty much every man for himself. Mom, dad comes from work, and they're straight into bed. They might cook dinner if they do that, and then they're in the room watching TV. And a lot of it, I guess this might be going into what I do in working with families outside of my clients, is pretty much helping parents understand what kind of structures they need to put in place and helping them understand the benefit of putting systems in place. We can't have randomness in a household. You know, a household has to, if you want to get positive results, if you want to have productive kids, you have to have a production system in place. You know, imagine Imagine if Ford Motors, a Ford Motors factory didn't have a system in place, how they're going to build their cars. Some cars would come out operable, some wouldn't. Some cars would come out the right color, the right door on, some wouldn't. So you have to have a system in place to get the productivity you want out of your child. And a lot of parents think that just, you just have a child and you send them to school and the teachers are going to teach them everything they need to know, and that's it. And so it's kind of helping reframe the way my parents think. I do a lot of that with families, kind of helping them understand structure and things like that.
So and I will say that I would guess treating a child with ADHD is like treating the whole family.
It is, totally.
Yeah. We live in a society where children don't want to be told what to do.
So true.
So parents don't know what else to do. They just talk and they push it to the teachers. The teachers only spend very short time with the students. So I think that's why I don't envy your job, because I'm sure
it's hard work. It's hard work.
So but also, I talk with the families. I spend time talking about the medications, how the medications work, and talk about. My finding is once parents, family members understand what is going on with the kid, say, okay, listen, this child really wants to sit. He wants to sit down. He wants to do his homework. He wants to pass, but he just cannot sit.
Yeah.
He can't sit more than 5 minutes. And the parents or family members think about it. They say, well, but that's true. They say, okay, but how come when he wants to play a video game, he stays there all day? Yes, because that is one thing that sustains his attention. That's one thing that stimulates him. He wants to stay on that. But everything else, he can't. And sometimes they hear the child say, I don't want to get up, but I just can't help it. We say, okay, sit down for the next 5 minutes. They sit for 2 minutes, they get up. So once family understands that this is the problem the child has, they're more understanding, they're more cooperative with treatment, and they are able to set limits.
So true.
And when you say, okay, behavior modifications, you're not gonna watch TV.
No video games.
No video games, unless your grades come up, or unless you consistently turn in your homework for 1 week, unless your color code comes to green, then you can watch TV. Then, with the help of therapy, medication, and support from family, they do well. One thing I was talking with the school principal that was supposed to be here. He says when at the beginning of the school year, it's all chaotic in class. Everybody is running up and down. The teachers are screaming. He has more people sent to his office. But as the year goes by, first month, the kids begin to get their medications, begin to get the treatment. Whoa, classes, everything kind of winds down. They're more calmer in class. Things begin to take shape, and he notices this all the time. So it shows that the treatments we give, medications, therapy, are helping these children. And go ahead.
I guess to add on to that, I would say the reason why you see extreme behavior in the beginning of school and then it kind of just flows out and stabilizes, it's probably because think about the summer. Again, it goes back to the making things a habit, making things repetitive so that students become used to it, is that kids are coming out of the summer. In the summer, kids typically don't have systems in place that make things habitual. Right. So what happens is they get to school, and now I have to sit down. When I was at the pool just 2 days ago or last week in the summer, hey, I was at the pool or I was playing video games. Now they have to come back to school and become accustomed to or get used to sitting down in a seat, listening to a teacher.
Structure.
Structure. Yeah. And I think it kind of speaks back to why structure and systems are so important in helping kids understand how to regulate their behavior. And I think things become easier when you make them habits. I think as adults, when we make things habits, behaviors become easy. In the beginning, going to exercise can be hard. Hey, if you're just starting exercising, it's going to be hard the first month. But if you do it for 1 month, 2 months, it starts to become a part of your life. It's almost like eating a sandwich almost, That might not be the best analogy, but again, making things habitual helps behavior to become an easier act or an easier practice.
And you know, I've also noticed that some young people who have ADHD, they go to play music, guitar or keyboard or play drums, and they're good at it. So the question is, if they can positively, or they can do something positive with their hyperactivity, I think it may be a way to direct them into things they love to do, or things they enjoy doing. And I've had, sometimes I ask, what are you going to do when you go to college? Oh, well, I'm going to go, I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to go work in a video store or game store. Because that is what they love to do. That is what their interest is. So they feel they can just do that and succeed. So these are. But question for you though: when you do behavioral modification, when you take away the things they like video games or TV, there's no backlash.
Oh, totally. There's almost every time there's backlash, and what you find is opposition. You find that the child or the teenager feels like, I'm not used to this, I don't like this, I'm used to being able to play my video games and have bad grades. But I think eventually what happens is, if the parents stand strong, they realize that this is a move. This force won't be moved. Mom is going to be determined. She's going to be persistent. In order for me to get what I want back, I have to do what she says. Now, when therapy or things don't work in therapy, it's when you have parents that aren't consistent in implementing certain strategies. So if you have a parent who gives in when their child becomes angry, when they have to deal with punishment or consequences, then it won't be effective. The parent just gives them what they want, and then the behavior modification plan or strategy just doesn't work. And so me and my parents, we do experience opposition when we first implement these things. So you have to be persistent.
Right. So what advice do you have for parents?
So what I'll tell parents in regards to, I guess you mean just like in general, I would say first, look for resources. Like, find out what options you have when it comes to dealing with your child's behavior. You know, first, I think it's always great to go in and find out what resources you have, then assess the issue. Really see if your child has a diagnosis of ADHD, or it could be something else. Seek professional help. That is a resource, right? So once you do that, then you're in a place where now you have information to make an informed decision. And I think from there, you'll find that there are some resources out here that will help you deal with your child's behavior. And I think also I would just say, if right now you're in a place where you can't get therapy for your child, or you can't access certain resources, in general, we all can implement systems. And that's what I'm going to go back to. If you're a parent right now that has a kid who just can't focus, who can't pay attention, or having some hyperactive based behavior, try to implement systems that will help that child learn to kind of cope with being bored, and also like just doing things they don't want to do, and incentivize that. In that system, you have to have some rewards. You have to have something that says, hey, if you can sit down for an hour or 2 hours and do your homework, here's what you get. And so I guess in the big picture, I would just say, parents, definitely, if you can, seek professional help. Look at your resources, seek professional help, and kind of go from there. And that individual will be able to guide you through the process. But if not, I would just say, definitely use some online resources, but definitely systems. I just tried to implement. I think anyone can implement a system. Anyone can implement homework every day at a certain time, dinner at a certain time. Don't make things chaotic. Make things, put a schedule. Yeah, just make things.
And when you say, I'm going to take away your video game, take it. Once you say something, do it. If you say something and you don't do it, then they're not going to listen next time.
Exactly. Be persistent.
Yeah, be persistent. When you say something, you must do it. So, and also, it's good to know that treatment works. Therapy in combination with medication will help the child. So, look for someone. You can go online. We are available. You can talk to us. You can get our numbers and call and get help for your child. Mr. Coleman, how can people reach you if they want to?
If you want to reach me, I have my website for my practice. It's www.elevations.com. So that's www.elevations.com.
And any phone number they can call?
Oh, yeah. And you can always call me. Phone number 910-797-9218.
And honestly, a lot of people have sent to you. They've done well. So
glad to hear that.
And I know you're doing a good job. Also for us, you know, with Dr. Swala, Gilead Quantum Health Systems, we are on Annapolis Road, 9470 Annapolis Road, suite number 117 in Lanham. You can reach us on Facebook. You can also on Twitter, reach us on Twitter, and also you can call us on phone number 301-577-9111, 301-577-9111. I want to thank you all for tuning in today, for watching, and I want to thank you especially, Mr. Coleman, for coming.
Thank you for
We
inviting me.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about next show. It will be on eating disorders, binge eating disorders. That is another big one, binge eating disorders. Thursday next week at 1 p.m. Tune in at the same time. And I want to thank you again for tuning in. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.